Good afternoon. I'm Richard Reynnells. The devotional for today is cursing and swearing. My great-grandmother used the term lordy on occasion. This is a socially acceptable exclamation, not meant as a curse or a way to degrade or disrespect God. Was that acceptable to God? I always thought to curse or cuss was to use any profane, dirty, vulgar, or offensive language, and to swear was to use God's name in vain, or to speak in an irreverent or blasphemous manner. Do not respect God's name. Dictionaries are such a hindrance when one creates a preferred opinion. After looking up these words, I find they are similar, close enough that both actions may disrespect God and the Trinity. This is not appreciated by God. For example, Exodus 27 or Deuteronomy 5:11. Perhaps you have heard the term cuss like a sailor as the standard for the use of improper language. However, I know people in all branches of the armed forces, and some civilians, who would make the most ribald sailor blush. So much for stereotypical standards. Euphemisms are the substitution of an agreeable or inoffensive expression for one that may offend or suggest something unpleasant. Do we use euphemisms that make taking God's name in vain acceptable? Is doing this the same to God as actually using his name in vain? If so, you may as well say the swear word, or stop doing it. If you hurt yourself, verbally release a string of explicit expletives, or the equivalent euphemisms, or think them. Does this offend God? Look at Ephesians 4:29 and Colossians 3:8. Do you only think them and win the admiration of some people? Or do you think none of them? Personally, a vulgar response to pain and self-imposed stupidity can be controlled. The blood drips, the body part hurts, and that's okay, sort of. Things happen. However, irritants, frustrations, and abuse of myself or others by people are more likely to cause me to have negative thoughts or result in a verbal eruption. We all have our tipping point. I believe none of these reasons are acceptable and tough to control. To break that habit of expression is easier if it is never started. What is your intent when you say "jeez" or "for Pete's sake," "golly," "golly gosh," "goodness gracious"? If not these or variations of them, what should one say? Perhaps nothing. Perhaps a simple observation of the event, whatever that event might be. Even if we understand it is better to simply state something with no embellishment, it is easier said than done. We are prone to emotions. A negative event seems to require an honest and unrestrained opinion of someone or something, rather than a monotone statement, or no response followed by acceptance. What if terms like "gee dust priest," or "gosh darn it," or the intentional use of an offensive word if you spell it wrong, like the word damn, or use "Lord have mercy" in an irreverent manner? What are variations of "holy" something? What if you just use initials for common cuss words? Are these okay with God? Or you may be expected to swear on a Bible in court. Should you? Look at Matthew 5:37 and James 5:12. If you use profanity or multiple forms that are not related to God's name, or tell profane, racist, or sexist jokes, are these acceptable to God? Do they make you one of the big kids who fit in with the crowd? Give you an air of rebellion or adulthood, edgy or real, or some other positive characteristic of using earthly language? Does gratuitous vulgarity improve your status in your profession, among neighbors and acquaintances, relatives? Perhaps it may in some secular areas. Is this important as a Christian? Does cursing hurt as a professional, but help in other jobs? And if the latter, which is more important, acceptance by peers or by God? If you do not use coarse language, are you a goody-goody, a wimp, a pseudo-Christian who pretends to be better than others? The problem with habits is they are difficult to break. Profanity becomes hardwired for us, so we do not even need to consider what to say or think. Do. It may be better to never start down that path of using variations of vulgarity or cursing, swearing, or telling off-color jokes, or thinking those thoughts. That is a tough thing to do when so many others are not so inhibited. And cussing is a tension release for some people. It is not easy to refrain from thinking or saying inappropriate things, even if you do not normally associate with those who do those things. For most of us, control of our thoughts and tongue is a challenge. So it is a wonderful thing that God's grace abounds, and we may be forgiven for our errors. Just something to consider. May God bless.